welcome to my video. Today, I'm going to be talking about episode 5 of season 17 of Deadliest Catch. And in this episode, all the boats that are on this show, the Northwestern, Cornelia Marie, Summer Bay, Southern Wind, and the Time Bandit, a couple of them are going to be getting ready to go out to the Beardeye Grounds, and some of the boats are out on the Beardeye Grounds trying to track down the elusive Beardeye crab, which have not been fished in 2 or 3 years. And the crab boats are going to be facing a giant typhoon that will be hitting the Bering Sea, and it's going to get real nasty out there, and it's going to be one wild ride. There's going to be one thing that I've never seen before happen to 17 seasons of Deadliest Catch, and there's been some crazy stuff that has happened, and this is a crazy thing. There's going to be 2 boats that crash into each other in harbor. That'll make this season 3 boats that have crashed into each other. The Wizard crashed into another crab boat, exchanging bait from the other boat, crashed into each other earlier this season. And then Southern Wind bumps into the Summer Bay in St. Paul. I'll talk more about this later on in this review. The episode starts out with the captains letting their crew and preparing their crew that it's going to get real nasty out and to hold on, because it's going to be mayhem out there. This episode starts out with the Cornelia Marie out on the Beardeye Grounds, and Casey, he's been looking through records from 40 years ago. These grounds have not been fished in about 40 years, so they're going to some testing in these grounds and see how it goes. And if they don't pay off, they'll move a little farther to find the crab that they want. And once he's got that plan set in motion, he calls Josh on the Time Bandit. He tells them what they're planning. And Josh says, we're not going to be leaving harbor for a couple days just to let this typhoon pass us, because we don't want to be in this wild weather. Then it goes to the Summer Bay, and the Summer Bay is out on the Beardeye Grounds in the Bering Sea. The weather is starting to get real nasty outside, and they're setting their pots, and I think they have 120 pots on deck, so they're gonna start setting those pots to see how it goes. While they're setting their gear, Wild Bill hears a noise he's never heard before. What happened is the fridge door came off of the refrigerator and smashed onto the floor of the Summer Bay. A whole bunch of jars that are holding food fell and broke when the door flew off of the fridge and broke a whole bunch of stuff, so it left a huge mess. They're gonna have to go fix it. So Wild Bill decides, we're gonna finish setting our gear, and then we're going to steam into St. Paul, which is 40 miles away from where we are right now, and wait out the storm and load our gear. Then it goes to the Northwestern, and the Northwestern is out on the Beardeye Ground in their gear, and they're setting their gear, and they have 120 to 140 pots on deck. And Sig is just going to bombard one area and set all of his pots in a 2-mile radius. He's going to have a lot of pots in one area, because they've kind of honed in on a biomass of Beardeye crab. While they're setting gear, the weather is just getting nasty outside, and the waves are getting big and smashing over the bow. While they're setting the gear, Sig sees one giant wave coming straight ahead of him. He hails the crew on the radio and lets them know to get out of the way, and they had just had someone in the pot, on the pot launcher, and they all run and take cover, and all of a sudden, this giant wave that the bow had hit hits the pot. It just sprays the starboard side of the Northwestern, and the force of that wave pushes the pot about 10 feet from the pot launcher, and that wave had a hell of a lot of force to do that, because a crab pot is 800 pounds. That was pretty damn crazy. Then it goes to the Summer Bay, and the Summer Bay is just getting into St. Paul. They just barely made it before the weather was getting too furious. They get docked, and they start loading up their pots, and then it goes to the Southern Wind, and the Southern Wind is just arriving into St. Paul. The wind is really pushing the Southern Wind, because the Southern Wind is 144 feet long, and she is a giant sail with the wind. It's making it really hard for Captain Harley to control her. But they managed to get her docked in between the Summer Bay and the dock. It was a real struggle and it was pretty tough, but Harley managed it. Then it goes to the Cornelia Marine. Captain Casey is starting to haul in his gear from where he set it. Where he set this gear is where Bear Eye was fished in the 80s, and it was pretty strong fishing. He's going through the gear and they're getting 0 Bear Eye crab in the pots. He relays the information over to Josh on the Time Bandit and says we're gonna move all of our pots to a different area so we can maybe get on the next school of Bear Eye crab. And while they're hauling in their pots, Casey asked Kawhi to tie down the tote that is holding bait for their pots, to tie it down so the 300-pound tote will not go sliding across the deck and take somebody out and seriously injure them. What ends up happening is the newest greenhorn did not tie it down like Casey asked him to, and the tote goes sliding and that tote takes out the cameraman on the Cornelia Marie. It turns out it's all good, and Casey calls up the newest greenhorn. When I ask you something over the hailer, please keep in mind that you need to follow what I say, because people could get seriously injured. And Casey was like, we had this exact same situation happen. It hit a deckhand on our boat, and that deckhand has not been back on a crab boat since that injury happened. Then it goes to the Southern Wind. And the Southern Wind is wanting to load pots onto their boat, but crane that's on the port side of the Southern Wind will not reach on the dock. Captain Harley is going to reposition the boat, have the port side of the Southern Wind on the dock, so he can load up his 80 extra pots he's going to bring out to Bear Eye grounds. The wind is also blowing about 50 miles an hour. That is going to make it really hard for the Southern Wind to maneuver because it's a giant wind sail. They get the lines untied off the Southern Wind and they start moving, and it also shows Wild Bill just getting up into the wheelhouse. It shows Nick McGlashan fixing the fridge door on the fridge to make sure it won't go flying off like it did on their last trip. While the Southern Wind is backing up, starboard side of the Southern Wind starts getting pushed towards the stern of the Summer Bay. It gets pushed right into the side, and the Southern Wind hits the Summer Bay. That leaves a dent in the side of the Summer Bay. But there's not a lot of damage. It just left a dent, and it left some light blue paint on the Southern Wind. Captain Harley gets the boat turned around and docked again. They start loading their pots on. Then it goes to the Northwestern. The Northwestern is getting to their first string. They start hauling in the gear. The first pot comes in with 59 Bear Eye crab in it. The second one comes in with 89 Bear Eye crab in it. And the next one comes in with 95 Bear Eye crab, which is really good. They're on a mass school of Bear Eye crab. Since the fishing is so good, Clark calls Sig on the hailer and he's like, I'm gonna make a bet with you that I will not miss any throws on this whole set while we're hauling in gear. And he's like, if I win, Sig, you have to cook a Norwegian dinner. And Sig didn't really answer to that. Clark was like, I bet my whole Bear Eye paycheck on this. And then Sig was like, okay, you're on. The Northwestern is doing really good with their Bear Eye season. Then it goes to the Cornelia Marie. The Cornelia Marie is getting to their first string up to where they had moved, and they start out with like 54 Bear Eye crab. It just keeps getting a little bit better than that, so they're doing good and they're really happy about that. Then it goes to the Southern Wind, and the Southern Wind is back out on the Bear Eye grounds. They start going through their gear and they're getting about 50 plus Bear Eye crab in it. So Captain Harley's like, let's set this one back and then let's set our 80 pots that we have on deck in this same area. They start doing that. And then it goes to the Summer Bay, and the Summer Bay is back out on the grounds. They haul in their first pot and it's getting about 50 Bear Eye crab in it. So they're happy, and Wild Bill does the same thing and starts setting his pots in that same area. Then it goes to the Cornelia Marie. Casey calls Josh to let him know that he's on really good Bear Eye numbers. So Josh walks up to the wheelhouse of the Time Bandit to let Jonathan know, and they're gonna go head out and get their Bear Eye season started. That is how episode 5 of season 17 of Deadliest Catch ends. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to hit the bell icon down below so it can be notified when I upload videos. Also, please share this video with your friends and family. Don't forget to smash the like button. Thank you guys for watching, and if you ain't dreaming, you ain't living. Don't forget to dream big.